everyone. Good Thursday morning. Thanks so much for joining me here for WSAZ Plus. We are going to go ahead and look at some of the morning headlines that we are following. We do have a little bit of a breaking situation in Putnam County, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the web PC for us so we can see. This is we're going to take a look at the West Virginia 511 map. You can see a good amount of green in that area along US 35. That certainly wasn't the case, though, about several hours ago. Even just 45 minutes ago, we saw a lot of red backed up on that area in particular. And so this is what we're looking and dealing with. Right now, we know that the Putnam County Sheriff's Office says that 2 people have died as a result of a crash that happened on US 35 this morning. The crash reported pretty early, so we are still working to get some details for you on that, but here's what we can tell you at this moment in time. The West Virginia Division of Department of Transportation says that US 35, the southbound lanes where was close to mile marker 15 and they were detouring traffic this morning, the southbound road has reopened at this point. So that is some good news. Something that we are tracking for you in the US 35. This is the West Virginia 511 map, and we don't have a camera that is close to where that crash happened. But I did want to give you this so that you could kind of put this in perspective here. So the Putnam County Sheriff's Office telling us that 2 people have died as a result of that crash that happened this morning. It happened near mile marker 15. That's near Plantation Road. And the Sheriff's Office, along with the Department of Transportation, put in some heavy detours because they know how busy and backed up US 35 can get. And so that crash happening around 5:30 this morning. At this point in time, we're still trying to get some details on exactly what happened, what type of vehicles those crashed, the people that were driving, that were killed, what type of vehicle they were driving. So that is some of the things that we are still working to confirm. But I did want to give you an update on this because this is a story that we've been following for several hours. And so another one, obviously, we know that over the last week or so, we've talked about it here on our morning headlines several times this week, but Logan Elementary was closed due to a fire that broke out at the school there over the weekend. It happened last Saturday. And so they've had to really get creative for students in that area, try and get them acclimated back to, they're going to end up moving the school, the students who are at the elementary school into the middle school. This is video showing some of the damage and the reason why Logan County School District says right now we have to shut down Logan Elementary. We can't use it. There's just a lot of debris, a lot of soot, heavy smoke from that fire that happened over the weekend. That fire breaking out on Saturday around 10 a.m. And so they've had some companies come in and try and help clean the area, but there's a lot to do as they are trying to get that ready. So in the meantime, Logan Elementary students will be moved to Logan Middle School, and they have worked on a plan to get parents acclimated, get students acclimated, and so that is what they are working on right now. They're expecting to hold an open house to help families and just those students who maybe not are familiar with the middle school, help them get a little bit more comfortable before those students move into that school for full time for the rest of the school year. So, that is one story that we are following, and we've started to see new developments each day. And unfortunately, so many of those teachers had lost supplies, or when you talk to educators, you know how much they put their own pocket into making their classroom special. So many educators and teachers spend so much extra money to make their classroom what it is and make it a place that students feel comfortable coming to. And so, those teachers have lost so much. Not only do they have to also, it's hard for their students, but it's hard for them as well. And a lot of that is their personal belongings. So they have started a donation drive where they're asking for different supplies as far as even just simple things, pencils, erasers, crayons, glue sticks, things like that. They're also asking for storage bins, staplers, tape, floor seating cushions, and even snacks to make it a little bit easier for those kids as they try to navigate that. And so let's go ahead, and I was going to pull up that for you. So you can send those to, they have an address for you. Let's see if I can get that up for you. All right. Okay, so you can send the donations to 14 Wildcat Way. It's in Logan, West Virginia, and that's at the middle school. And so they're going to be able to use those donations, hand them out to teachers, make it a little bit easier for them as they navigate, because there's still 3 or 4 months left of the school year. And so right now, those students will not be able to go back into Logan Elementary for a little bit, probably through the end of the school year. It probably will be a couple months as they work to make those repairs and, of course, clean up from the damage of the fire. So if you want to help out in any way, you're able to send those donations in. Go ahead and send them to Logan Middle School, and the address for you is 14 Wildcat Way, Logan, West Virginia. I know those teachers have been so appreciative of what they've got. I've seen a lot of posts on social media, one in particular that sticks out to me, and they were just so thankful that somebody took the time to donate some items and help them get back on their feet. So, that is certainly a great way to help those kids and in those teachers too. So, one other story that we are following this morning is about data centers, and that's really been a hot topic throughout the entire last couple of weeks or so. We've started to see more permits for data centers be filed for data centers to come into our areas. And so, it can be a really hot topic, a topic that creates a lot of buzz. But the city of Ashland is going to vote at the commission meeting, which is scheduled for noontime. And they're set to vote and possibly adopt an ordinance that would temporarily prevent the development of data centers within city limits. Key word here, temporarily. We had talked to some city officials, and they said, we want to be the best educated that we can be and make the most informed decision before we would allow something to come in. They want to understand the impacts and how it would affect our communities. And so at the city of Ashland on their agenda today, it's a moratorium ordinance that would pause the acceptance, processing, and approval of applications related to data centers for a period of 180 days. Now, city officials say that goal is really to give the Planning Commission time to fully review the issue, study the best practices, and make the most informed decision. It's not to say that we couldn't see something, change, or the commission change their tune as well on how they feel about data centers. That is supposed to be a topic that we believe will be discussed today, and we heard from city officials, that likely will happen today. So that is something that's going to be really interesting. We've started to see so many communities, and many of them be affected by data centers. Scioto County was one in particular where that was a bit of a contentious topic. Commissioners really taking some heat at the moment from the community there because the community felt like they weren't well informed. They were caught off guard. They didn't know all the details of those data centers. And of course, they had shared some concerns about environmental, how it would affect their power bills. So those are items that we know really create data centers to be quite the hot topic. But like we said, we could see some developments in Ashland today. Now, again, this ordinance is temporary. It would only allow them to put a pause on those applications for 180 days. And so that helps them to make a better informed decision. So we are expecting the commission to take that up today, as they will. And that meeting is set for noon. So in a couple of hours here, we're going to have a live report from our team there this afternoon. And we are going to be checking in on what they end up deciding. And if you're interested in watching that commission meeting, you can watch it on YouTube. The City of Ashland always posts their meetings there live, and they typically live stream as well on Facebook, but you can always catch them on YouTube, so that's a good one. Something else that we are following this morning, the Hope Scholarship has been a very, very big talker and really a focal point of the West Virginia legislature. We know over the last couple of days, the House Finance Committee was set to talk about the Hope Scholarship, and we saw crowds of people crowd that committee room. Lots of people came down to even speak on this subject, voice their concerns, their opinions on the matter. In the last couple of days that it's been on the agenda for the House Finance Committee, remember, this is we're in I think it's day 44, if I stand correct. Anyways, there's not that many days left in the session, only about 15 or so, as it wraps up on Saturday, March 14th. So when you're thinking about that, there is not a lot of time for wiggle room. And so lawmakers really over the next couple of days need to get in line, and they need to push it to the House floor if they want to take up that matter and consider it. And so, like we said, I believe it was Monday when we first started following this. Monday, and then there was another day this week where the Hope Scholarship was supposed to be talked about. We saw dozens of families come from across the state of West Virginia to talk about that in front of the House Finance Committee, and it was never taken up. So we have our reporter, Charlie Roth, there at the House Finance Committee this morning. That bill would have to make it out of Finance Committee and then move to the full House. And again, it's not done yet there either. So after it advances to the House floor would have to then approve it and pass it on to the Senate. And so when you're thinking about the number of days that are left in the 60-day session for the lawmakers in West Virginia, like we said, there's not a lot of time. There's not a lot of gamble room. They're really going to have to be working through the next couple of weeks to get those bills across the finish line. So we'll likely see that debate come today, but it will be just one pivotal step. There are still many other steps that it has to be to see if we'll get that finalized. So that is another big story that we are following this morning. But thanks for joining us here for a look at your morning headlines. Of course, we will join you back at midday and 4, 5, and 6 this evening. Have a great Thursday.